All right, let's dive in. Ready to explore the great outdoors from wherever you happen to be listening right now. Today we're taking a deep dive into those activities that get you out there, using maps and compasses, sometimes even GPS, to uncover hidden treasures.
Oh yeah, geocaching, letterboxing, orienteering.
You got it. We've got this fascinating academic chapter we're looking at today, and it focuses on how these activities impact the environment, both the good and the potentially not so good.
Definitely both sides of that coin.
For sure. And I bet some of you listening have even stumbled upon a hidden geocache. Maybe wondered about those cryptic symbols you see sometimes on a trail.
Yeah, those are fun.
This deep dive is your shortcut to becoming a super well-informed outdoor enthusiast.
And what I think is so interesting is how the chapter really digs into the research about how these activities impact the environment. At first glance, you might think they're all good, but there are some real concerns.
Right, like, are we loving nature to death?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, and there are some surprisingly positive findings, too, about their effects on wildlife and plant life. Not what you'd expect.
Okay, so let's break it down for anyone who hasn't had the chance to find a hidden geocache. We're talking about geocaching, letterboxing, and orienteering.
3 great ways to get outside.
So geocaching uses GPS coordinates to lead you to hidden containers called caches.
Like little treasure chests.
Exactly. Letterboxing, on the other hand, is a bit more old school.
Definitely.
It relies on clues and compasses to find hidden boxes with stamps and logbooks inside.
It's like a scavenger hunt.
Totally. And then there's orienteering, where you navigate through unfamiliar terrain using a map and compass to find specific checkpoints.
That one's a real test of your navigation skills.
It's like a real-world puzzle with nature as your playground.
And, with geocaching, it's not just about finding a container. There are so many variations. Like, you could be solving multi-stage puzzles, discovering virtual caches tied to geological landmarks, or even participating in event caches where geocachers get together.
Wow, so it's like a whole community.
It is. The creativity is really amazing. It's really mind-blowing.
You know what? I've always been curious about GPS. It's so commonplace now. But I've always wondered, wasn't it originally for, like, the military and stuff?
Yeah, you're right. The Global Positioning System, or GPS, started as a military technology developed by the U.S. Department of Defense.
So how did it go from guiding missiles to helping people find Tupperware in the woods?
Well, a pivotal event that led to GPS being opened up for civilian use was actually a tragic one. It was the downing of a Korean Airlines passenger plane back in 1983.
Oh, wow.
It really highlighted the need for a reliable global navigation system for everyone. And so President Reagan at the time decided to make GPS accessible for civilian purposes.
Huh. So that's how that happened.
Yeah, and then that combined with the development of more affordable handheld GPS devices and, of course, the rise of the internet, well, that led to this huge boom in activities like geocaching.
It's amazing how technology can change the way we experience the world. But with all this popularity with geocaching and these other outdoor treasure hunts, it makes you wonder about the environmental impact.
Absolutely.
Are all these people trampling through the woods actually causing damage?
It's a valid concern, and, some people who do these activities have actually seen some negative impacts firsthand, particularly when geocachers go off those marked trails.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's definitely potential for disturbing plants and wildlife.
So are we saying these activities are inherently bad for the environment then?
Well, not necessarily. The research shows it's kind of a dilemma. On the one hand, we have legitimate worries about damage from people going off trail, but then some studies show that with careful planning, these activities can have a smaller footprint than, say, more traditional hiking or camping.
Really?
It really makes you think twice about what truly impacts the environment.
Interesting.
It's not as simple as it seems.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the impact these activities have isn't so clear-cut.
Yeah, it's a complex.
Yeah. But we were talking about some possible downsides. I'm curious about those.
Yeah.
What are people worried about, and how bad is the damage really?
Well, one of the big concerns with geocaching and letterboxing is people going off the established trails.
Makes sense.
And that can lead to trampled vegetation, compacted soil, even erosion.
Oh, so like delicate plants and fragile ecosystems getting crushed.
Exactly. It's like the unintended consequences of people just wanting to enjoy nature.
Yeah. And it's not just plants, right?
No, wildlife can be disturbed too, especially
Like
ground nesting birds. And the chapter even mentions some cases where people searching for geocaches or letterboxes accidentally damaged historical structures.
Oh, no.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's a shame. Enthusiasm is great, but sometimes it needs a little direction.
So how do we balance that love for adventure with being responsible? What can people actually do to minimize their impact?
Well, the first thing, and probably most important, is sticking to marked trails whenever possible.
Right, stay on the path. Yeah, think of them like the safe zones for the environment. It's also crucial to avoid disturbing wildlife, especially during nesting seasons. And of course, the golden rule, pack out everything you pack in.
Always.
Nobody wants to find someone else's trash in the middle of a beautiful forest.
Definitely not.
Oh.
Okay, those are great tips.
Yeah.
But what about those historical structures we talked about? How can we enjoy these activities without putting them at risk?
I think respect is key. If a cache is near a historical site, admire it from a distance. Don't climb on it or try to move it. And if you happen to see any damage, report it to the right people. We have a responsibility to protect these treasures, whether we're geocaching or just out for a hike.
Right. It's like we're all caretakers in a way. But I'm curious, are there ways to actually have a positive impact while you're geocaching? Can you do some good while having fun?
Absolutely. The chapter mentions this concept of cache in, trash out, or CITO.
Catch your name.
It's pretty simple. You just pick up litter while you're searching for caches.
Oh, that's cool. So you get the excitement of the hunt and help keep the environment clean.
Yeah. Exactly. A double win. And some geocaching organizations even host CITO events, where groups specifically get together to clean up parks and natural areas.
Wow. So it's like a social thing, too.
Yeah, it's a fun way to give back to nature.
I love that. Speaking of giving back earlier, we were talking about how these activities can actually boost environmental awareness. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. There's more and more research that shows geocaching in particular can help people develop a deeper connection with nature. People who participate often say they become more observant of their surroundings, more curious about local plants and animals, and more invested in protecting those spaces.
So like seeing the world with new eyes.
Yeah. It's not just about the thrill of finding that hidden cache. It becomes about the journey, the exploration, and all the discoveries along the way. And those discoveries can really change how people view and treat the environment.
That's really encouraging,
Yeah.
that something as simple as a treasure hunt can lead to a greater appreciation for nature and a sense of responsibility to protect it.
It is, and that's why these conversations are so important. We need to weigh both the positive and the negative impacts and figure out how to ensure these activities can continue to thrive in a way that benefits both people and the planet.
Couldn't agree more. It's all about finding that balance. But I'm really curious to learn more about how these activities are being used in education. Can we dive into that next?
Oh, definitely. That's a fascinating part of this whole topic. Get ready for some really inspiring and creative ways teachers are bringing learning to life through geocaching and similar activities.
Sounds exciting. All right, get ready to unlock some educational treasures. We'll be right back to explore how these activities are changing the learning landscape. All right, so we're back and ready to uncover those educational treasures hidden within geocaching, letterboxing, and orienteering. It's honestly kind of wild to think these activities can be used for more than just fun and adventure.
I know. It's amazing. It's all about transforming learning, making it engaging and hands-on and relevant, taking education out of the textbooks and bringing it into the real world.
So how are educators actually using these activities in the classroom? Give us some examples.
Well, one really popular approach is using geocaching to create these interactive lessons across different subjects. Like imagine a history class, but instead of just reading about historical landmarks, students use GPS coordinates and clues to actually go out and find them.
Oh, wow. So they're learning about the site's history while they're actually experiencing it.
Exactly. Way more exciting than staring at a textbook page. And it's not just for history either. Science teachers are using geocaching to teach about ecology, geology. Even astronomy math teachers are using it to teach geometry and coordinate systems. It's really versatile.
Wow, that's so cool. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure learning experience.
It is, and it's not just about individual learning either. These activities often involve collaborating and problem solving. Students work together to decipher clues, navigate to the cache location, and sometimes they even have to solve puzzles or challenges along the way.
So it's like they're learning teamwork and communication without even realizing it.
Exactly. Those are skills that are useful no matter what you do in life. But here's something even more interesting. The chapter talks about students creating their own WN geocaching routes, often with environmental themes woven in.
Wait, so students are actually designing their own geocaching experiences?
It's incredible. They might research a local park, identify unique ecological features, and create a route that leads people to those spots. It's a way to share information and raise awareness about the park's ecosystem while also getting creative.
That's amazing. They're combining technology, outdoor exploration, and environmental education all into one.
It really is a brilliant way to get students engaged. And it's not just about placing the physical geocache. The process itself involves research planning, problem solving. They're learning about the environment and becoming advocates for it at the same time.
So they're not just absorbing information, they're actively sharing that knowledge and encouraging others to care about the environment. That's powerful stuff.
It really is. It shows how these activities can be more than just recreation. They can be tools for positive change and for building a deeper connection with the natural world.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. We've covered everything from the basics of treasure hunting to environmental concerns, stewardship, and now these incredible educational approaches.
It really has been quite a journey. And, it just shows how something as seemingly simple as a treasure hunt can ignite that spark of curiosity, connect us with nature, and even inspire us to be better caretakers of our planet.
Well said. So as we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners walk away with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that while we should definitely be mindful of the potential impact of these activities when they're done responsibly and thoughtfully, geocaching, letterboxing, and orienteering offer this incredible mix of adventure learning and a path towards environmental awareness.
It's all about finding that balance between having fun outdoors and protecting the places we love.
Exactly. And that's a balance we should all strive for, whether we're seasoned adventurers or just starting to explore.
Well, on that note, we'll leave you with this thought. Given the rising popularity of these activities and the impact they can have, what does the future hold for striking that balance between recreation and environmental protection in our natural spaces? Something to think about as you head out on your own adventures. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive and Off Ramp.